One Love and Wellness, Love and Heart Happy Hour, Episode 1, Part 3. I'm Precious Mother Love.
Rock it, don't stop it.
Wiki, wiki, wiki. Wiki, 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 wiki. One Love and Wellness family. Love plus art equals wellness. This is the first episode of Season 3, Heart Happy Hour, Part 3, the final part of this episode. And we're talking about Mental Health Month, Halloween, SAD syndrome, and holy days. And better days. Don't blink. I want to tell you that song is by myself and Dion, the entertainer. He and I have a lot of music together. That one's called Rise and Shine. You can get some of my music. Get in touch with me on the comment area, and I will point you in the right direction. Right now, I want to go into further about Halloween, further about the holy days, because I touched on it a little bit on the last episode. And then I also want to talk about your mind space. The most precious, the most priceless real estate there is your attention. And I want to talk about this month is mental health awareness and how this, scaring you, boo, how that might affect your body when you get scared. What type of automatic responses happen, how you can train yourself to go beyond that, and just to jump and dive right in, we are at we're at the fall season, and fall is when the sun falls below the horizon, and that is where we're getting a minute less each day of sunlight and more of night darkness. Summer solstice is the longest day, winter solstice is the shortest day, and everything in between there is either rising or falling, just the same way our time, spring forward and fall backward. Those are symbolic to what the sun is what the sun is doing. Right now, October, we are losing a minute per day, and as we approach All Hallows Eve or Halloween, and the following day, which is All Saints Day or All Souls Day, it begins our holy day season. So I feel that this month, October, when we go into the place where we start changing our persona a bit, we become and personify whatever the costume is that we wear, and we, I guess you could say, sort of disconnect or put our persona in the background, and it may, to me, stir your soul to the place where it leaves some vacancy, meaning you are a hollow being versus being a soul being. And then when All Saints or All Souls Day comes, it is the beginning of our Thanksgiving season. Usually, you'll start seeing the holiday season or holy day season decorations. You begin to put your first fruits or your cream of your crop together for your festive and festivities and festivals. I believe that when we get to Christmas, which is about a 30-day period after Thanksgiving, which this year it is actually on the 25th. So then we have a full month of days that before we get to the winter solstice. And I'm including some of the cosmological or planetary notions towards this season, because I feel that they're very, very much based on some of the cosmological. And I spoke about, yesterday or the last time I did an episode, we spoke about how it is. It just blew my mind. It just went away, and that's fine. But it just tells me that, on those 3 days when the sun rests, that and then, we begin to have 1 minute more per day of going towards the spring, of the sun rising, and or moving towards summer, and the summer solstice. So, and as we are deprived of sun, things come about like SAD syndrome. There are things that happen where we are used to having our family around. We might miss some of our folks that have gone into ancestral realm because they're no longer available. And every season it reminds us of that, for those gatherings and those times of being together. It's funny, now we're doing virtual visits. Last Thanksgiving and birthdays and baby showers over these past 2 years of this new norm of the pandemic season. We have some new ways of doing things, which we're filling in the blank with the virtual visits. And I don't think that's a bad scenario. I think that's a great way for us to cover that. But then we also are not getting some of the human touch that might be very important to some people. I'm pretty happy with my own company. I enjoy my own company. I haven't gotten what I consider lonely. I'm getting all kinds of calls from people checking in on me and so on. But I diverge. I don't want to get sidetracked too often, so I'm going to try to rein myself back in so I can keep this quick as possible. I just have some things I really need to get out of my system. I've been harboring some of these lessons that I've been learning over my lifetime. So many things have happened to me in the supernatural realm as well. And I do believe that you being able to see certain things that are in various other our energy forms has to do with, some of the programs that we apply, some of the things that we learn, or that we're taught away from. At some point, people used to get locked up or thrown into the loony bin for talking about some of the things that I might be talking about right now. So, but that reminds me, later on this month, at the end of the month, I'm working towards the 29th, 30th, and the 31st. I am doing Haunted Tales and Mystical Truths in D.C. It's a virtual event for 3 days. I'll be talking about all of the scary and could be considered horror or horrible or horrid things have happened to me. And I really want to share some of the things that I've learned in dealing with these things. I mean, I've had times where I've walked past people and their cloak dropped. I was able to see beyond their veil, and I was able to see some things. I'll go into detail at the event on those 3 days. I'll go into the details, but I think it's too much for regular conversation and/or these kinds of events. It's appropriate for me to be able to go into a little more depth. So, again, October is Mental Health Month. I'm talking about Halloween and how it affects your mental state and status. For instance, I mentioned that when you're taking on that costume, you're somewhat vacating the position that your soul is in. There are things that can really rock your soul, rock your world, get you discombobulated, get your stomach all upset because of the way your mind interprets it. People who have various types of traumas, I don't know what is causing me to, I think I have this air on, so it's blowing things on my face and making me itch a little bit. But there are some phobias that develop based on, in response to some traumas. You may be afraid of spiders. You may have squirrels that will if you see a squirrel, if you had an encounter as a child, something happened, you fell, you hurt yourself, you remember it was caused by the squirrel, and for the rest of your life you can't stand squirrels make you itch or whatever. There are ways to heal those things in many fashions, many ways. Everybody's unique. No one has the same healings that I have based on what I've been through. Mine are unique. So in the science of self, as you get to know yourself, you look for, what are your triggers? What are things that are getting you roused up? A lot of folks, when they're afraid of things and they stay away from things, claustrophobic or arachnophobic, you know, that's because of something that has happened, and you can go back and heal those things. You know, folks that are afraid of flying have been coached into being able to fly. You know, it's changing your mindset, changing your paradigm, changing your perspective of it. What you might have thought is death defying, people fly all the time. Spiders are rampant in this world, you know, and if you freeze every time something happens to that degree, now that brings me to my other point that I wanted to mention, because the fight or flight, I think you should add freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze, because I do think that is another, and I've read up on it, I've done some research, it is some innate responses that come about, automatic or automated responses that come about uh, when a fright or a scare is encountered, or you know, if somebody jumps up behind you and says boo. You know, I had a time once, because you know, I have been able to train myself in certain scenarios. I've taken some self-defense, I've taken some martial arts, and someone snuck up behind me one time, and you know, I was in the refrigerator, I was stooping down, and I was the only person at that time in the office, and the person scooted up behind me, and you would have thought they said boo to me, but they didn't. They just called my name, and when they did, now this particular person, I think he got a kick out of scaring me and giving me some frightening you know, seeing my response to the fright. But you know, and I warned him. I says, "Hey, don't do that. You know, I've been trained, and I will respond. You know, so far you've been lucky." So anyway, I'm in there. I'm in the refrigerator, and he comes up, and you know, he sees me in there. My head is buried in there. I'm stooped down. I'm getting some out the bottom drawer of the refrigerator. We're at work. We're at the kitchen in the kitchen at work. He comes up behind, calls my name, and I jump up, and my response was, my foot was at his neck. You know, I was about to kick his head off. I was in almost full, and I was in a stooping position to come up, and you know, I was ready to respond. So, but as I said, I think there's fight, flight, and freeze. Freeze is also what I found out, when you freeze. Now, in my opinion, that's kind of like a seize, like your body seizes up on you, like everything locks, everything is still. And for an animal, in some cases, you know, if you're hidden in the bush and the animal is out there and you're scared and you're behind the bush, you're undercover, and that might be helpful, because if you don't move, he won't hear you, he won't see you move. The animal, that it could be your predator. But if in the case that it's happening to a person, then your mind is also stopping. But at that point, your heart is going to start beating faster. Your breathing will start to go faster. Your blood will get more oxidized. Your muscles will now be energized. Various glands will release some of their powerful influences on your body. Your brain will have certain triggers, again, automatic triggers. Like I said, the hair will stand up on the back of your neck. You might even get goosebumps, you know, based on what happens, what is frightening you, and how your body responds to these things. So the more you have these things to happen, you know, the more you start learning new ways of dealing with it, new ways of handling emergency situations. You know, and some people get a kick out of the adrenaline that runs through you at those times. I mean, roller coasters, people love roller coasters, scary movies, and that's another thing. The movie isn't even real, and you're scared out of your wits. You actually go inside of, and that's another thing, how they say the virtual, like when an athlete is visualizing, or you know, internally visualizing it in their mind. The apparently the body has no idea that it's not really happening, because you are in a place where you're, I suppose, you're embodying the experience that you are mimicking or imitating in your mind. It doesn't know the difference, you know, whether it's real or not, whether it's a real episode of emergency, or you know, like the roller coaster. You know, these are adrenaline things. But then the police officer, he has to work under those circumstances. A firefighter, military, you know. But then there's also, for instance, you know, like for a track meet, you know, ready, set, wow. And everybody, moves forward, scooting down the track. And it could be that they have now learned to control those impulses. And there are ways to do that, to train yourself to be able to overcome those things. Just like there are things you can do to overcome your phobias, to get over your traumas, PTSD, things like it could be counseling, it could be meditation, it could be art therapy. I offer art therapy, Love+Art equals Wellness, my website, various classes, laughter therapy, breathing therapy, music therapy. I offer a variety of things to help you to, I guess you could say, prescribe with the golden pen. Um, there are a lot of ways that you can heal yourself, but you have to first decide that you will be healed. Your mind is the first place, the most valuable real estate, but it is also the place where you decide if you're going to heal, if you're going to accept your healing. It's also the place where you decide if you're going to be sick. If you accept that the physician has said that you will be dead in 6 months, you come hook or crook will be dead in 6 months if you accept it, believe it, and begin to live in that mindset that, okay, I got 6 months to go, I got to close my affairs, I got to live my life, and whatever those things are, whoop it up, my best life now for the rest of that time. Or I'm going to just say the opposite, think the opposite, do the opposite. My body will heal. I will not accept these words of sickness. I will find a way to bring myself to a mindset that will allow me to be healed. I've seen instant healings. I've seen healings of people who were considered close to death, or that they would never return to their right mind. And I've seen these things in person, and in some cases firsthand, as far as some of the healings, that once you decide in your mind and you get out of the way, you allow you can support it, but you have to get out the way. Now, by supporting it, I mean giving your body a certain types of nutrition, certain types of wellness, certain things that will supplement and support the healing process. So in addition to the adrenaline rush, that you might get on a that's some more of my music in the background. In addition to the adrenaline that you get from, the event, some people hyperventilate, some people will, afterwards certain things in your body stop functioning to give full force effect for what is needed, the fight, flight, or freeze responses. A mother, may pick up a car in response to it being on top of her child. The adrenaline pumps through her. She becomes superwoman. She lifts the vehicle by herself off the child. And then when she's done, she's drained. All her energy is gone because every ounce of her energy went into that. Her mouth is going to be dry because the body's response was to shut off the waterworks. It could be that she may end up going into shock at that point. But the body responds in various and varied ways because we're all unique as to how we handle a scary moment. I've had, like I've said, times when I've encountered a person and, like I said, their cloak dropped, and had I not been trained in the ways that I was trained, it would have been, I believe, a whole different outcome. I was able to be safe afterwards. There was a conversation, and it was, real. I was able to see what the persona of the real soul was. And I'll tell you more about that at the end of the month for our Haunted Tales and Mystical Truths in DC at the end of the month. Click the link below and you'll find all the details. But I also want to finish up and finalize my words and tell you about some of the other things that I'm offering, which is some health and wellness on another note of health and wellness, but from a holistic point of view. So mind, body, and spirit healing through my 5 words of wellness. That's coming up for the month of November. We'll talk about that then, but for October, we're in Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want to tell you more about that on the next episode. But for now, I'm Precious Mother Love. You're listening to Happy Heart Hour, and I am being sponsored by Love+Art equals Wellness. Hope you'll come back sometime soon. Hope you've heard something that you like. Continue hearing, because I will get deep. I will be going deeper and deeper until by the end of October, I'll be telling you about the ghosts, the ETs, or I don't think they call them ETs any longer. I think it's called some sort of aeronautic, whatever. When you see a UFO, it's no longer, the connotation was terrible. Uh, for some, if you had expressed to anyone that you were tuned, that you had seen some of these things, you could be tossed into the loony bin for some of these things that I'm about to tell you about. But I'm in my right mind. I am just, since a child, have experienced some very extra sensitive moments of my sensitivities. Um, I've had uh, uh, telepathic conversations, short distance, long distance, across the nation. I have experienced various phenomenons, where there were things flying through the air, not things knocked over. There are lots of events through my life that continue to happen, and I want to share that with you at the end of the month. So join us at Haunted Tales and Mystical Truths in DC. The link is below. Hope to see you soon. One Love and Wellness, Heart Happy Hour. Love plus art equals wellness. See you sometime soon. Join us for the next episode.